Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the importance of exercise snacks. I know a lot of you are uninterested in doing 40 minutes or 60 minutes of steady state long duration exercise. So we have really good news. There's evidence to suggest that small, short exercise snacks, and these are exercise sessions for less than 1 minute sprinkled throughout your day, are as good when it comes to supporting cardiometabolic health as longer duration exercise sessions. Now, I'm a little bit biased because I firmly believe that lifting weights 3 to 4 days per week plus periodic interval training is ideal. But I realize some people are just not going to do that. So if you don't like to go to the gym and you're like, I don't have time because I'm raising a family, running my business, I'm traveling, whatever your reason for not wanting to exercise is, you should consider exercise snacks. So I'm going to share with you a few different studies, and we're going to talk about the importance here, especially if you fast. There's actually evidence to suggest that if you're fasting for gut health purposes, for longevity purposes, that if you have a little bit of food when you're technically fasting, say having stevia in your coffee or a little bit of cream in your coffee, and you're worried about what impact those calories might have on the fasting physiology, if you exercise after that, it's like a wash from a metabolic health perspective. And so that's coming up. So one of the studies we're going to talk about here is titled Exercise Snacks, a Novel Strategy to Improve Cardiometabolic Health. I'm not going to read to you every quote in word in this article, but I think it's important to recognize the value of exercise snacks are. A perceived lack of time and access to facilities are commonly cited as barriers to regular physical activity. People don't want to spend money for a gym membership. It's like you have to drive, you have kids at home, and so forth. So exercise snacks are isolated bouts of vigorous exercise lasting less than 1 minute and performed periodically throughout the day. Here's what's unique about this. I started doing exercise snacks back in 2006. I want to thank my friend Dr. Jay Tita for actually doing a telephone seminar through this company, Designs for Health, talking about, hey, look, he would do 10 sprints throughout the day, but not consecutively. This was like one before breakfast, one in between breakfast and lunch, and then a few later in the afternoon. And when you only exercise for less than 1 minute, guess what happens? You're not getting all sweaty. So you can do this in your work clothes. This can be a 30-second, run to the stairs in your office building, go up and down the stairs vigorously, go back to your desk, do it for 1 minute. And here's the benefits here. The scientists say exercise snacks seem to be well tolerated and can also offset the detrimental effects of prolonged sitting on metabolic health outcomes and vascular function. What's another good time to consider an exercise snack? On a road trip or on an airplane? If you're sitting on an airplane, I used to travel to Chicago all the time. I would do these little exercise snacks. I would just look at my watch every 45 minutes. I would get up and I'd go to the bathroom. I would do some air squats in the bathroom. People are probably like, what is this guy doing in the bathroom this whole time? I was trying to just move blood around. And then guess what? When I landed, I didn't even feel like I traveled. I would often test my blood glucose. And normally if I didn't exercise on the airplane, I would see a rise in blood glucose. And so we're going to continue to talk about this and how exercise snacks can offset calorie consumption when you're time restricted feeding or doing prolonged fasting. But first, I want to thank this video show sponsor, Blinkist.com. What's really cool about Blinkist is they consolidate books for you in 15 minutes or less. So oftentimes there's books that you read that are very invigorating and you learn a lot from, but you don't have time to read 300 pages. So you can spend 15 minutes to revisit and consolidate some of the most powerful salient takeaways from these books. So one of my favorite books that I love to go back to is titled Influence by Robert Cialdini. He talks about the physiology and the psychology of persuasion. Now, what's unique about this book is he offers a lot of tips and practical strategies to help you better connect with people. So there's a bunch of great books that you can learn from too. They have over 5,500 different titles in 27 different categories. These are bite-sized, almost snack-like snippets of different amazing books, and you can do this while you're exercising. In addition, there's a new feature called Blinkist Connect that you got to know about. It allows every Blinkist premium plan to be shared by 2 different accounts with no additional cost. You can invite a friend or family member to join your plan and only share the titles that you want when you want. So for example, Sam and I do videos all the time. We're always talking about business and productivity and mindset. So Sam and I are constantly sharing books back and forth, and Blinkist Connect makes it so much easier to do so. So you can get 25% off Blinkist Premium and enjoy 2 memberships for the price of 1. You can start your 7-day free trial by clicking the link Blinkist.com/HIH. Again, that 7-day free trial, getting 25% off 2 memberships is Blinkist.com/HIH. I'll put links in the description below. I strongly encourage you to check this out. This is an amazing offer. So let's get back to how exercise snacks can also help you if you're fasting. The title of this abstract that was actually conducted at BYU University, which, as you know, that's where Benjamin Bickman is a professor, and we've had him on the podcast many times. They're doing a lot of great metabolic health studies there. I came across this article titled "Cheating in a Fast by Exercising After a Snack." So I think many people are scared, again, about having a little stevia or monk fruit in their coffee, or if they like raw cream in their coffee, but they're worried about how it will impact their fasting physiology. And what I've always told people, independent of reading this new research, is it doesn't really matter, especially if you exercise. A lot of people neglect the powerful impact that exercise has, especially on post-meal glycemia levels. And what this study found is giving people who are in a calorie deficit a small snack and having them exercise after the fact was linked with an increase in blood ketone levels and a reduction in glucose levels, mimicking what was happening in the fast, meaning that people that didn't have any of these calories that the intervention group had, there was actually an increase in the ketones and a reduction in glucose after people had a small meal but exercised after the fact. So I think this is really important to help people not be so concerned about, well, what if I have a little bit of stevia? Or what if I really like maybe a little bit of honey in my tea? Like, is that going to derail my entire health goal? No, especially if you can do some vigorous exercise or have an exercise snack after the fact. So the scientists say exercise after modest calorie intake produces beta-hydroxybutyrate and glucose levels that are similar to fasting alone. Exercising without a snack briefly interrupts the fast, but elevates beta-hydroxybutyrate, BHB, production starting around 3 hours after the exercise bout. Finally, mood was not different between any conditions and calls into question the assumption that a snack exercise fasting protocol is in fact easier to adhere to. And so I think this is really good news for a lot of people, because some people find excessive fasting, maybe doing one meal a day or 20 hours of fasting and eating in only a 4-hour window, is hard for them. They want to have like maybe a little small snack, or they have a blood sugar craving or whatever it may be. So again, I'm not suggesting that you have chips and then go exercise, right? But if you enjoy snacking and that's your jam, but you want to get the benefits of time restricted feeding, having a low calorie snack and doing some intense exercise in the hour after doing that, it can help mitigate the damage there potentially from a metabolic health perspective and increase ketones and reduce glucose. We did a video, and I'll link it below. I'm not going to play any clips from that, but a few years ago, I was wearing a continuous glucose monitor back in 2017. I went to a popular vegan restaurant here in Seattle and just told the server, hey, please give us, we went as a family, your most popular dishes. And it was vegan pizza, it was pasta, it was all high carb foods. My glucose levels, if you watch that video, went into like 150, 160. And as I was going to bed that night, they were far too high than what I felt comfortable with going to sleep. You know, I was like, my gosh, my glucose is still over 130. So before going to bed, I took my dogs out, did some sprints, did a 10-minute, it was a mile walk with some sprints in between. My glucose went from 130 down to 80. Okay, so this is how a quick exercise snack, that was more like an exercise meal, right? Because it was like 10 minutes. But if I were to just do a few sprints down my street, you know, that lasted 45 seconds duration, I bet you I could have gotten my glucose under 100. And that served me better, because waking up in the morning, I tested my glucose and it was around my normal levels, which is around 80 milligrams per DL. So I think it's important to recognize that exercise is very powerful. Continuing on, here's a study that just came out titled "Skeletal Muscle Mechanisms Contributing to Increased Glycemic Control Following Intense Interval Exercise and Training." So again, many people are focused on carbs. I see this, and I love our carnivore community. There's many people that follow this channel and podcasts that are on a carnivore diet, but many people in the carnivore community, I have found, in the keto community, are completely scared of carbohydrates. Like, oh my gosh, if you have blueberries, you're going to have a blood sugar crash, or you're going to derail all your health progress. I think balance is more, especially long-term. Telling a kid to never eat blueberries again or to never have honey again, I think it's just myopic thinking. So many people that adhere to that belief oftentimes don't have children. So I think it is better to understand that if you like some carbohydrates in your diet, no problem, especially if you exercise after consuming carbohydrates, because moving skeletal muscle actually increases the glucose sensitivity within the muscle. So if you're concerned about your blood sugar health and you're not consuming any carbs and you're thinking, That's all you need to do. I would strongly suggest you consider diving into this research, finding that exercise is one of the best ways to actually improve overall metabolic health and blood sugar control, because it turns out that your skeletal muscle is responsible for about 80% of the post-meal uptake in the glucose that you ingest during a meal. And is really important. Another study just came out titled "The Importance of Exercise for Glycemic Control in Type 2 Diabetes." This was about 18 months ago or so that this study came about. But there's so much more research coming out finding that blood sugar dysregulation is not just from carbohydrate consumption. It's from inactivity. It's from underutilized skeletal muscle. So I just want to encourage you to start thinking about practically that, we know blood sugar health it's top of mind for a lot of people, and it should be. Only about 4% of American adults are metabolically healthy. So not only is it the hyperpalatable processed foods, especially the soft, chewy foods, we have the goldfish, we have Pop-Tarts, we have wheat products and things like this that form plaque on our mouths and hurt the enamel and change the oral microbiome. Those foods are problematic, but it's also prolonged sitting. Many people are not moving their muscles, and one way that I found to practically improve the exercise snacking element is riding my bike to pick up my daughter from school. I know that sounds a little bit elitist, like, oh, maybe you live close to the school and you can't always do that. Rain or shine, we do this. And so I'm able to get about 4 miles on my bike in every single Monday through Friday. And I have found that helps me improve my body composition and keep my blood sugar levels normal, even though during the winter and even the spring and fall, I don't have the time to get out and hike and do prolonged cardio. So I'm able to keep up my fitness level by doing these exercise snacks. So I bought a used bike from a bike shop, actually in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, during the end of season for $150. I've used that bike pretty much daily now for the past several years to commute on, to go get raw milk with my daughter. We put it in the backpack and bike home. That has been a phenomenal way to incorporate these exercise snacks. And it's led to a lot of health benefits, my friends, because once summer comes around and I'm doing 9, 12-mile hikes and climbing 4,000 vertical feet at during the day, I don't need to train for that because I've already done these exercise snacks. They have a lot of carryover, especially if you can integrate some intervals into them. So think about your office, your place of work. Maybe you're taking your children to and from sporting events. If you can find some stairs, if you can do a sprint in the parking lot, it's really actually helpful. And you're not going to get super sweaty if you're just doing 45 seconds of a short duration exercise snack. There's adequate evidence to suggest that this is important for your skeletal muscle, for your blood sugar health, for body composition, and much more. So hopefully you will start promoting exercise snacks to your friends and family. I want to thank you for watching all the way through. I want to thank this video show sponsor, Blinkist.com. Be sure to check out the link below to get 7 free days of that, and then also 25% off 2 memberships, which is a phenomenal deal. And I would love to know how you're incorporating exercise snacks into your daily living. Is that feeding the chickens? Is that turning the compost in your backyard? It could be parking your car at the end of the parking lot when you go and get groceries, right? So you're walking a little bit further and making that walk a little bit higher intensity. There's a lot of ways that we can do this, and I think it just reframing exercise is really important. So thanks as always for tuning in. Thanks for hitting the like button. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll catch you on a future episode down the road. Bye now.